Hey, everybody, welcome. Welcome to Acting from All Angles, where we talk about acting from all angles. We look at it from every position we can possibly look at. And today I'm going to be talking about how to become an award-winning playwright. But first, let me introduce myself to you. To those of you who don't know me, my name is Julianne Lichty Stratton, and I am the creator of Actors in Action Professional Actor Training, where we empower passionate actors with the craft and skill to have a serious career, which is very exciting. Paulina's here. Hey, Paulina, good to see you. Okay, so we're going to talk about my experience of writing the play Amber Alert, which won the Outstanding Original Script Award at the Great Salt Lake Fringe Festival. Eric Eckenberry's here. Hey, Eric, how are you? And Ashley's here. Awesome. So here's the poster from the show. So Amber Alert. Amber Wells was perfect, perfectly beautiful, perfectly popular, perfectly smart, so why should she do it? So what do you think this play is about? It's about teen suicide, which here in Utah is a serious problem. Of course, it's an epidemic throughout the world, throughout the United States at least. And I'm just gonna walk you through the actual process, how it happened, what I did to write this play. So first of all, I went and saw the Fringe Festival last year. One of my students was in this great production called Shooter, which was about a, you know what, my Roomba's going off. Let me turn it off. I'm sorry, 1 second. It will distract us forever, and me anyway. Sorry. So I went and saw the Fringe Festival. I saw the play called Shooter, which one of my students was in, and it was about a mass shooting. And it was very moving, and as I sat there, I was like, you know, I would really love to write a play that could be presented at this Fringe Festival. And I think I'd like to write the play about teen suicide. I'd been thinking about teen suicide a lot lately because there's so much of it going on here. We all have been affected by it. And I also thought that it was a subject that would find a good audience there at the Fringe Festival. So as most Fringe Festivals are, they're a little out there, kind of the plays that you do can be a little gritty, a little darker, you know, there's a lot of experimental theater and things like that there. So I just thought a play about teen suicide would be the right space, the right audience for it. So I went home and I thought about it for a long time. I actually thought about it for 8 months. I kept thinking about how to write this play. I knew I wanted the title to be Amber Alert, on our Amber Alerts that we have with, you know, when children are abducted, because to me, teen suicide is a lot like an Amber Alert. It's this predator that is taking our children from us. And it's something that is preventable if we can talk about it and if we can catch it early enough. So I thought about it. I had a bunch of different scenes I wanted. I knew that I wanted only 3 characters in it because I wanted a small cast, but I wanted them to be able to play lots of other characters. Alexander's here. Hi, Alexander. So I had Amber, who was the lead, a girl, and I have an actress in my school who is 15. She was 14 at the time. And I really was inspired to write the play with her in mind as well. I wanted her to play Amber. And so I actually also talked with her mother to say, hey, I would like Brooklyn to be in this play, and it's a very heavy subject matter. Would that be okay with you? Because having a 15-year-old play a kid that has taken their own life can be a very, very heavy and triggering thing. So we talked about that. They both felt fine about it, and I went from there. So the actor, I also had the lead actress. I had 2 other actors in mind. I knew I wanted a dad, and I wanted a school counselor, and then I wanted a couple of other different characters that these 2 actors could play. And I also wanted to draw on things from stories from our society. I used Snow White in it. The feeling of suicide is symbolized by the huntsman and Snow White coming to get Snow White. I use Snow White. I use a local legend, a Native American legend. I use some Greek a Greek play. I also use a little bit of Hamlet in there, and I just kept pulling things because I wanted to strike a universality and put it all together. So I had all these ideas in my head, right? Which a lot of us, when we write, we've got great ideas. And I just kept thinking, I gotta write it, I gotta write it, I gotta write it. And I just couldn't quite get around to it. So let me just take a little interjection right here. If you're gonna write anything for film or for theater, I highly recommend that you get this book called Story by Robert McKee, The Substance, Style, and Principle of Screenwriting. This book will teach you everything you need to know about writing in a dramatic form. It's just fantastic. It's like the Bible of screenplays, screenplay writing. It's very dense. It takes a long time to get through it. You might want to study it with a friend who's also a screenwriter, but that book has enabled me to write this play and write several novels that I've written. It really gives you a strong idea about story structure and how to express what you're doing. Okay, so back to Amber Alert. And actually, let me grab a link for Story and put it in right here. Let me just put a link for Story. There you go. I don't think the picture went in there. It's not going in there. Anyway, that's Story. Okay, so, oh, it went in there. All right, great. So finally, I didn't quite know how to do it, and it was getting closer to, it was like April-ish, and we needed, the festival is in August, and I was like, I gotta write this play. So what I did actually is I found another book. I'm like books, right? This book is called Deep Work, and it enabled me to sit down and write Amber Alert in 2 weeks, actually. So this book I can't recommend enough. It is really, really incredible. What it does is it just teaches you how to focus your time, focus your mind, and be able to really dive in deeply. So what I did after reading this book was I set aside time in the morning, and I got in my office, I made everything super quiet. I actually put soundproofing blankets on the door because we had these birds in the room and they would chirp and they would distract me. And I would just sit down and write. And my first draft was crappy. Most first drafts are, in my experience. But I just hammered out basic scenes, the ideas I had to scrape through my brain, like what were those scenes? What were the things I wanted? What does, most importantly, Amber want in this, the lead character? That's what you want to think about. You want to think about, what does my character want and what are the obstacles? So I sat down 4 hours a day-ish and hammered that out. And I had a first draft in about a week. And then I went through and I did a second draft. And then I went through again and I did a third draft. And I just kept tweaking. And I needed this script to be at least 60, I wanted a 90-minute script. The Fringe Festival only does hour scripts. So I had to, after I wrote it and it was 90-minute, I had to go back and edit it and cut it down a little bit. So I have two versions of this play. I have the 1 hour version, and then I have, or the 55-minute version, and then I have an hour and a half version. And so I did that. And then I had a reading of it with the actors and a small audience. I got some feedback. I got some really good suggestions. I saw, oh, I do need to tweak this here and that here and this, so it all makes more sense. I needed to not give away so much at the beginning and hold off for that back end to make it more intriguing and more interesting. The thing about this play is the main character, Amber, was already dead. She had already taken her own life. So she was in the afterlife, sort of waiting to see where she was going to end up. In the meantime, she's talking to the audience, who she thinks are the people that are going to judge her, but it never says that in the play. She just assumes they are. And she's trying to piece together why she took her own life, what it was that brought her to this. And so it flashes back to when she was alive, to scenes with her dad, to scenes with her parents, to scenes with her therapist, and just different things. Not her therapist, the school counselor. So, and then also so with the play, I wanted it to be serious, of course, because it deals with teen suicide, but I needed it to have some comic relief in it. Such a heavy subject. I wanted to have a little bit of ridiculousness in it. So one thing that I did was I had the mother played by a styrofoam head with a wig on it. So there were only two characters, only two actors playing different characters, and there was one scene where the woman who played the school counselor played a shrink, and then the dad was there, and then he had the mom with him who was a styrofoam head, and because she was an opiate addict and she was really out of it, and she would just like sit there and go whatever. So conventions like that can work really well to make a dark subject a little bit more approachable. Okay, so that's how I wrote it, and then we staged it and we performed it for 6 performances at the Fringe Festival. And we're a pretty new theater company, Scaffold Theater. My theater company is pretty new, so we didn't get a ton of people there. And I am not the best marketer, although I'm trying to get better at that. And so we didn't have a ton of people. We weren't super popular. Word was just starting to get out about the power of the play. I think that people knew about the script and thought that was interesting, but there were other things that were kind of more distracting. So I thought, you know, we did a good job. We did the best we could, and you know, we're not going to win any awards or anything like that. We're not going to whatever. So they had a little awards show, and I didn't even go to it because I was like, well, there's no point. We're not going to win anything, so why? And then I got an email a couple days later saying that the script had won Outstanding Original Script, which was very exciting and very, very, very encouraging, very heartening, actually. So there were about 30 plays in the whole Fringe Festival, and this one, which I was really proud and very excited about, because I think that the subject matter is so important. So that is my process of how I wrote the play. So if you have something you want to write, 2 things I recommend is get story, look at that, and then read deep work and learn how to focus deeply, and just sit down without any distractions, no cell phones, no birds chirping in the background, no internet, nothing. Sit down and write it. The more you do that, the more you get into your zone of concentration, the easier it's going to be to continue to do that. So you might want to start off with like 30 minutes of no distraction at first, and then build up, because it takes our brains a little bit of time to learn how to do that. But you're going to build your myelin sheaths, which are your nerves, the things around your nerves that make you able to do something new the more you do it. Okay, so I'm going to leave you with one last thing. This is actually a link to one of our performances of Amber Alert on YouTube. We are hoping to perform this and get it to be sent around to performed at different high schools here in Utah, maybe outside of Utah. There is another play that's being done right now that is going around that's a suicide prevention play, but this is very different, and I think it would be a really amazing thing. Oh, Christy Summers is here. I didn't see you, Christy. Awesome. So, and in fact, Christy is a great director that I'm hoping will get to help revive this play and get it out. Okay, I would love to have any comments about this. Let me know if you're writing anything. Let me know if you need help with that or encouragement or anything. Remember, we are about empowering passionate actors with the skills and the craft to have a serious career. So if that's you, stick around. We got a lot of stuff to do, to talk about and to inspire you with. And I'm still working on those videos for my YouTube videos. I have one about making a soundproof room coming up, which is gonna be really cool. You can see me not drywalling, framing, stuff like that. It's fun. And then we're gonna do a really cool thing next week with my intermediate acting class that explores acting in labyrinths. It's gonna be awesome. Next week, though, we're going to be talking about dealing with monsters on set. I've had a couple of actors recently, of my actors who have been on set and had to deal with some pretty gnarly stuff. So please come and watch. We're going to talk about that and see if we can find any little loopholes to keep ourselves sane on the set if there's craziness going on, which often there is. Thank you for watching Actors and Acting from All Angles. I'm Julianne Lichty Stratton. We'll see you next week.